I met this woman. She used to be a witch. Now she's saved, all this thing. And she actually said to me, yoga is a gateway drug to witchcraft. And someone who understands that whole world, like she's like making blood sacrifices to the full moon. She's doing all of this stuff. She's a yogi. She's astral projecting. Guys, that's actually real.
She's busy.
She's busy, but I'm saying it belongs to God's children.
I do want to shake things up a little bit.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. Because we do have, Mr. Exorcist Files here.
Ooh.
And I feel like that there is something, I just feel like the spirit's moving, and we got to get into a topic that Ryan, Exorcist Files, they did an episode on going, sharing what yoga, how it can open a door. And it is, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, it is the episode that y'all have had the most just sort of backlash to for Exorcist Files.
Yeah, you call it backlash, complaints, threats. People love, it's funny, the spiritual devotion to something that they militantly claim is nothing spiritual is very interesting. I mean, I was like, oh, we should check our idols there a little bit. Like, look, and I'm just the producer. I'm like, hey, I'm just saying what the Padre's saying, right? There's no official teaching from the Catholic Church in this, but I've interviewed now a lot of Catholic priests on this, and they're like, don't do it.
Interesting.
And it's not to hate on anyone. They're just saying, look, if you look at it, what you practice as yoga in the United States, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's watered down, et cetera, he's like, it's like saying Taco Bell is reflective of authentic Mexican cuisine. It's right. Yes, we have a very commercialized version. And so it's even stronger if you go back and look at what like authentic yoga is. It's a very spiritual practice, right? And spiritual practices can have good things in them, of course, right? There are health benefits, right? But on our show, we had a professor come on, Dr. Candy Brown, who actually does a lot of court cases and expert witnesses on this. And we'll say, hey, look, you can't, like, this is just facts and her expert opinion. You can't separate the spiritual like identity of yoga from the physical practices, that the actual motions themselves done in the order, in the way it's done, is an actual liturgy of sorts. So good or bad, we're just saying it is actually a religious practice. And that's the point we're saying. Also, this is a priest saying, hey, look, this is his story. I wasn't there. And he's like, yeah, I saw someone. And when I cast the demon out, the demon claimed as part of its, doorways that were entered was through the practice of yoga. And I don't know all the things, we don't know all the facts, but we just put that out there. It's like, hey, this is his experience. And it was so many angry notes about, I'm not giving up my yoga over my dead body. Wow. I will hold my mat till the day I die. I was like, that sounds pretty spiritual.
So,
and then what about your note about, if I do yoga, I would take the scriptures and put it on.
Oh, yeah. So I had a yoga mat that had a Bible verse on it because I was like, okay, so my mom was the OG of the anti-yoga movement. Back when I was in elementary school.
She was Noga.
Noga. That was incredible.
Captain of the Noga team. And in her honor, I feel like now that this is having a moment where, it's not just a Looney Tune, because I was made fun of in elementary school because all the cool moms would go to yoga together. And I remember sitting on the bus and they were all talking about their moms doing yoga that afternoon. And they were like, well, your mom's not going because she thinks yoga's from the devil. And I remember like coming home and be like, Mom, like what? And I also remember being in high school and one of my sports teams, we couldn't practice outside. So they were like, okay, we're going inside to do yoga. And I had a moral conflict, like my mom told me not to do yoga. What do I do? And then, I did get into it. I was a group exercise instructor. I got into it in college, and I have had 2 negative spiritual experiences in a yoga class to the point where the Lord's like, I don't need to do it anymore. I know I will not go. And so when I heard the episode, I just was like, wow, like it is just such an example of something that you feel good when you do it. You feel like you're working out, you're stretching your body, you're moving, but it actually it's something that on the surface is good, but it is not. And we ended up, we've in a conversation about it, and just to add on and make Ryan feel better about all the backlash that they had from their exorcist. You've had an experience too, where you've known that yoga is a deeply spiritual practice that Christians maybe should be careful of.
Yeah, it's wild that we were talking about that at dinner. And I was like, oh, because, you talk about that at dinner conversation. It's like, hit or miss, you know.
Know your audience.
Yeah.
So it was
Indian restaurant. No,
it was really interesting. So yeah, I had a lot of people in my life say, "Oh, yoga, it's demonic. You shouldn't do it." But I'm probably the type of person that's like, prove it. Like, tell me why. Because I also know God is not like, he's so incredible and so large and so vast and so good that his restrictions are also good too. So I just wanted to know like what was him and what wasn't. So he's also very in my face with like everything. Everything's physical. Everything's right in front of my face. And so I was asking the Lord, like, what about yoga? Anyway, this prayer and worship group that's like on the DL, can't even know about it, guys. But like we've been doing this for years, and just a place to come and like pray, gather around the presence of God, worship. And we were praying this for this woman, not like any specific prayer of like, she didn't come for freedom. She didn't come for all this stuff. You're just literally like, lay hands on her and pray, right? So we're praying for her, and, there's a lot going on, right? When you're praying for someone and you're like, okay, the spirit is moving, something's happening. But I remember hearing the Lord say, lay your hand on her back, like on her spine. And so I was like, at the end, I just, laid my hand, whatever. And she started moving in a very interesting way, very like slithering way. She bent over. She had total freedom. I'm not really fully sure what from until after her freedom, after all that God was doing, she looks at all of us and says, I have had a back issue for a really long time. I couldn't even like stand up straight, all of this. And I was a yoga instructor. And she's crying. Like, she's just so amazed at God's goodness in this moment, like to rescue her and that. But what I learned was in yoga, as you're moving your body and bowing to these different gods, the enemy will take any door he can. He's a squatter and he's an idiot, but like he came through in the door, just idiot, right? He came in through the door of yoga, right? So there's like no shame in that. Like, she didn't feel shame, but like in yoga,
it's a spiritual term, idiot.
Idiot. Right?
The Hebrew word.
So the Hebrew word for Satan is idiot. Yeah. But like at the end of like yoga, it's like there's like a snake, like whatever, that ends up on your spine. And so
it's the Kundalini spirit.
That's it. The Kundalini spirit came out of this woman on her spine. Okay. And then my prayer was answered. Like, Lord, are you in yoga or not? Mm-hmm. Show me. And he did. And then I kept running into people who were yogis with back issues. So it was like thing after thing after thing. And this is the thing, like I met this woman. She used to be a witch. Now she's saved, all this thing. And she actually said to me, yoga is a gateway drug to witchcraft. And someone who understands that whole world, like she's like making blood sacrifices to the full moon. She's doing all of this stuff. She's a yogi. She's astral projecting. Guys, that's actually real. She's busy, but I'm saying it belongs to God's children. It's God's. If you read about different prophets in the Bible, all this stuff, how did they travel? Like, some of them were out of their body. They would see visions. This belongs to God. Mm-hmm. But witchcraft is the ultimate rebellion. And so it jumps fences that they don't have access to. And so I learned so much in that time. And you think of the rise of witchcraft in America, it's because there's a hunger for the real thing. It's counterfeit. But I'm actually seeing more hunger. I keep running into like people dabbling in witchcraft. And I actually believe the Lord wants to show him his glory and who he is and give them the real thing. So I actually take it as you want to like draw them to yourself, instead of like, that theology of like, just stay away from the darkness, right? No, we're light. We're supposed to go into the darkness and speak to the darkness and show them the real thing. I'm not intimidated by a defeated foe that has no authority, but acts like it does. That's rebellion. That's rebellion saying, oh, well, I'm more powerful. I'm like, no, you're not. Get under the blood. But it's like, I just love seeing God's heart for his people, that he is bringing them to himself. So if you're listening to this and you're a little mad that I'm talking about this, I don't know, maybe check your heart. Maybe there's something going on, but it's really just one thing. Or we can lay things down whenever he asks. It might not even be yoga. It could be other things. He gives discernment. He actually gives discernment on what to do and what not to do. But you're right. I've been made fun of for saying it. A lot of people are like, oh, well, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I saw a woman with the whatever that spirit was
Kundalini.
come out of her. I don't want back issues. I don't want an open door to the enemy. I want a clean house, and I want to keep the house clean, and I want to like serve God with the temple that I'm in. And you can do that other ways. But again, witchcraft is definitely running rampant in our nation. I mean, you see it everywhere. Go in a bookstore. I mean, guys, it is like they made a child's toy. Is it Hasbro? They made the Ouija board. They made it a game, because isn't that like the enemy? He uses these things to entice and to bring people in. But I'm like, I'm going to call you out. Like idiot. Sit down, Satan. But like for real. And like we have to be awake and alert. And like there's so much better. There's so much better for us.